Ho-ho! We have a big story from Gameinformer with their recent flood of Pokemon Sword and Shield interviews. Pokemon Cut from Sword and Shield's National Dex will return in the future. Now, there was no reason to ever think that this wouldn't be the case, but the people from Back National Dex, they're crazy, they're delusional, they just can't handle the facts. But now, we finally have it spelled out for them from an interview with Game Freak. Now, even we can just go back to a message for Pokemon video game fans, where Junichi Masuda pretty much says, hey, we're not changing our design for Pokemon Sword and Shield because everything was done in a very deliberate way. I mean, just read right here. Just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon, and each and every one of them is very important to us. After many years of developing the Pokemon video games, this was a very difficult decision to make. I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Shield, it does kind of like drop off, but you can find this on the webpage. That does not mean it will not appear in future games. It's amazing that online culture and the Pokemon community has become so stupid that it had to be made clear that Pokemon are not being deleted from Pokemon, and nothing was ever there to suggest that. That if Pokemon are not going to be in the Galar region, they're going to be in other games on the Nintendo Switch, and Pokemon Home still exists. So Pokemon Bank is still going to have all of your Pokemon, and then you're also going to have functionality with them, such as the GTS and other features that are going to be added in Pokemon Home. No Pokemon are being deleted, no Pokemon are being removed, and it's an objectively better option than having all of your 800 Pokemon rot inside of Pokemon Bank, like is currently happening for the 0.01% of people that actually have a living Dex, or the less than 1% of people that even attempt to clear the National Dex now that we're approaching 1,000 Pokemon. It's so stupid that we needed this much before we could even start the interview. That's just the state of Pokemon right now. However, with the rest of the information coming out of this interview, Pokemon Sword and Shield, best Pokemon games, it's getting really hard to deny that. Fans are eagerly anticipating Pokemon Sword and Shield, but some of the biggest news coming out of summer was regarding what wouldn't be in the first mainline Pokemon console RPGs. During E3, producer Junichi Masuda explained that not every Pokemon will make the leap into Pokemon Sword and Shield. This news left many fans disappointed, so I caught up with Masuda during our trip to this month's cover story to dive deeper into the reasons for the cuts. Now, we've already been given reasons for the cuts. It's not graphics. It's because there's too many Pokemon, and competitive balance is hard when you have 1,000 creatures. But, according to Masuda, the sheer number of Pokemon in the series has accumulated over the last 2+ decades and has gotten to the point of being unwieldy. Exactly. If we don't make the cut now, even though Junichi Masuda wanted to make this cut back in Generation 7, if we don't make the cut now, when are we going to do it? 1,000 Pokemon? 1,100 Pokemon? 12 Pokemon? Generation 10. You know, it just gets to the point where it's an absurd amount. Up until now, we've been proud. We've been able to include so many Pokemon in the games. But as a result of that, there's actually been quite a few features or gameplay ideas that we've had to abandon in the past. Going forward, thinking about the future of Pokemon, we want to prioritize all of those new gameplay ideas, new ways to enjoy the game, and we want to challenge ourselves at Game Freak to create new ways to enjoy the game. That's really what drove the decision for this new direction. And that actually makes sense. And I was on board with the Dex cut from the second I heard about it. I was like, yes, now I won't be burdened to capture all of these Pokemon. Also, when we're making the transition to Nintendo Switch, first couple of months isn't going to have Pokemon Bank. And when Pokemon Home does become available, then there's not going to be any disadvantaged players because every Pokemon is going to be accessible inside of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So you don't have to worry about any weird transfers or stuff like that. And I was even looking at it, we're going to have to go back to Generation 6 if we want to have all of the Pokemon in a completed National Dex, unless all of these Pokemon are obtainable inside of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I found this post, and that's crazy. List of Pokemon that cannot be obtained in neither Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon outside of trading or transferring. Nidoran line, Oddish line, and it just goes on. So this is the result of having the National Dex, and as more and more generations are added in, it's only going to get worse. So once again, the Dex cut makes sense. Now as for features and stuff, it means we're actually getting more gameplay by having less Pokemon, which also is basic common sense. Think about features like the Pokathlon, that if you have to recategorize Pokemon stats in a balanced way for new gameplay, then it's a lot more doable with a few hundred Pokemon instead of all 1,000 Pokemon. And the reason why I keep saying 1,000 is because if you include all the forms, we are over 1,000 Pokemon with Generation 8. This has been confirmed in interviews. That's also why we can't just keep around Mega Evolutions forever, just because they existed once in Generation 6, and we're going to be looking at it. That means they existed once, like a decade ago, at some point in the future, and then that means we still just have to have it because. Same with Z moves, anything like that. So any feature that wants to add Pokemon and make all the Pokemon usable inside that feature, you can't have it when you have too many Pokemon making the game unwieldy. I'm calling it bloat. The decision was a result of collaborative talks between Game Freak, the Pokemon Company, and Nintendo. We have a lot of awesome new challenges that we haven't even revealed in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Yes! I mean, we know so little and so much about the games. We've already seen more gameplay from Pokemon Sword and Shield than almost any other Pokemon game, but we still don't even know, like, the big city or 80% of the map or anything like that. So we haven't even seen half of what Pokemon Sword and Shield has to offer, and it's already like the most featured Pokemon game ever. So just, there's still lots of stuff waiting for us. I can't wait for Pokemon Sword and Shield. And again, how can you hate the games? Like, people are taking their anger of, like, this Bring Back National Dex, which they just lie about and have all of this misinformation. No, Pokemon aren't being deleted. No, your Pokemon aren't going away. That they'll still be inside of home, and that there's going to be, like, 500 or 600 Pokemon inside of Pokemon Sword and Shield anyways. So, the complaints, there's absolutely no reason. It makes the game work better. It's more balanced, it has better game feel, it means more features. There's no reason to be against the Dex cut. We want to continue to come up with these new features, so we figured this was the best path forward for the franchise. Things are a bit complicated when diving into how the team decided which Pokemon wouldn't carry over into the Galar region. A wide variety of discussions happen. It's not just one kind of criteria for deciding which Pokemon are going to appear in the games, but a lot of different reasons, a lot of different directions, a lot of debate over which ones would be best in the game. And that's another thing, because the game feel is going to be better. Just your natural adventure and catching experience is going to feel a lot more natural with the Pokemon that are there, instead of just cramming Pokemon in there for the sake of cramming in there because you're filling out the National Dex. I think one example is figuring out the Pokemon that would make sense for the setting of the game the most. I can't wait to see how they do this for Sinnoh. Please, no Garchomp in Sword and Shield, but I'll be fine if Garchomp goes back to its home region. So something like that. These Pokemon look like they could live in the Galar region. We really spent a lot of effort deciding which would best fit the setting of the adventure and the features that we wanted to implement. I think players will be satisfied. I already am. There's quite a few Pokemon that you'll encounter in the Galar region Pokedex, so I think players will have fun seeing all of the Pokemon. When I ask for specifics about Pokemon that didn't make the cut for Pokemon Sword and Shield, including names and total numbers, Masuda did not elaborate. So I mean, it looks like we're not going to get a list before the game comes out, and the only way we'd have one is through like a data mine with an early copy or something like that. So that's going to be insane. I feel like at this point a data mine is inevitable because early copies came out for Ultimate, Odyssey, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Now, Pokemon Sword and Shield is going to be a different engine and might have different crypto, so it could be a case like Pokemon X and Y, where the data mine is actually going to take a couple days after the game comes out. I'm not going to be optimistic because history has showed us that that is not good, even though a world without hacking in Pokemon is just a much better world in every single way. So, however, he was much more explicit when I asked if cut Pokemon will return in future games. Definitely, he says. Wow, there was literally no reason to think otherwise. You can look forward to seeing Pokemon that don't appear in these games in different regions in future games. I think Pokemon Home, for a lot of players, will serve as a launching pad to gather them all and then embark on future adventures. That also makes like Pokemon Bank have more functionality and feel better with Pokemon Home as you transition all of your Pokemon to their home. I liked it. Like, even when they announced, they said, "Welcome home, trainers." I got a really warm, fuzzy feeling inside. So, that's pretty cool. Pokemon Home has been announced, but details to this point are scarce. Masuda intends on keeping it that way for a bit longer, but he did offer more insight into the upcoming app. We really are designing this as a place for all Pokemon together, so it's really important for the future of the franchise. It'll be more than even Pokemon Bank as a place to gather all of your Pokemon in one spot. Now, I'm getting like Pokemon Ranch vibes, but I don't know if they're going to like make it minigame focused as well. Either way, it's just going to be Pokemon Bank, more functionality in an app that communicates with all your games. How is this a bad thing? And it's going to keep the spirit of your favorite Pokemon alive until they get usable in an eventual game. So, I I actually, like, as much as I would want to have more information, just to kind of quell the idiots out there, Bring Back National Dex has been debunked. All the graphic arguments have been debunked at this point. It's really just hateful idiots proving that they're not Pokemon fans at this point. So I actually feel Masuda is really being stern about this, and I love that. I love that Masuda didn't back down. Bring Back National Dex was a success. Here's the thing I keep saying, and here's the fact that people keep denying. Bring Back National Dex as a movement was a success. You got a corporate response from Nintendo, from the Pokemon Company. That is unheard of. It isn't the answer you wanted, but in today's bratty, entitlement, millennial zoomer culture and stuff like that, people can't handle when things don't go their way. But the hashtag worked. The movement worked. Game Freak is aware, but they are also like, how about you play the damn games first? How about you see all the work and love we put into it and stop lying about us, and then we'll see how it goes. And Masuda, he isn't even going, like, he's not even using this, or he's not even, like, letting the Bring Back National Dex and letting all the hate become an excuse to give out more information about the games than they feel should be out at this time. So, while I'd like to see more information about the games, while I'd like to see more about Pokemon Home, while I'd like to see, like, more of a list or more Pokemon revealed for the National Dex, Masuda is not budging, and I respect that to the point where I don't even care about having the extra information anymore. Like, it's just that good, and also gives me so much more faith for the future of Pokemon, because Game Freak understands Pokemon right now. You look at the culture of the Galar region, you look at what's being shown for Pokemon Sword and Shield. All we have to do is look back at the last couple of years. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are incredible, and they are a true Pokemon adventure. I don't even call them like Pokemon games because it's an experience. It doesn't feel like you're playing a Pokemon game. It feels like you're having a real Pokemon experience. And while people might disagree with the directions that Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon took for the story, if you look at all the marketing, if you look at all the world building, if you look at the individual Pokemon development of Generation 7, Generation 7 was incredibly successful. It was very ambitious. It did have a lot of missteps. It did kind of, have some failings that people didn't like about it, and I do still say that hacking is the biggest reason why Pokemon Sun and Moon dropped off so hard, because everyone cheated all the features out of the game and then got bored of Pokemon Sun and Moon. So really, it's just the problem with the culture more than the games themselves. But even if you consider the games bad, Generation 7 as a whole is great. The anime is amazing. It has some really well done episodes that are some of the best out of the entire Pokemon series. And then, like I said, the roster of Generation 7, all of those Pokemon are unique, that they have a unique ability, they have a unique move, or some kind of gimmick around them, or some kind of like stat distribution with typing that we've just never seen in Pokemon before. So everything about Alola was very expressive, even like the culture and the characters and how the game represented itself, even if you disagree with the games once again. Like, the way I've been saying it is that Pokemon really gets Pokemon right now, to a degree that we haven't ever really seen in the past, and they just keep getting better at expressing Pokemon. So, Pokemon Sword and Shield, incredible games, best Pokemon games, in great hands, and pretty much all of the complaints about them are invalid at this point. Like, yeah, you can have some gripes, like, everyone's gonna have a gripe with something, even like the most perfect movie, game, TV show, or anything that's expressed that way, there's gonna be some kind of flaw. I'm not saying Pokemon Sword and Shield are flawless games, and they do have like their own subjective criticisms, but what people are saying about Bring Back National Dex, graphics, any of the attacks towards Game Freak, all of the disrespect, everything from that, all the arguments from that entire movement, completely invalid at this point. Pokemon Sword and Shield are amazing. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.